Blake, don't you just love when people give you unsolicited feedback on your work?
We call that getting Toby'd.
Welcome to the Church Gear Podcast, where we pull the tech out of the booth and onto the stage to share the most outlandish stories and hidden wisdom from the tech trenches. And now, here are your hosts.
I'm your host, Blake Hodges, a man who definitely doesn't use people's names at church gear as verbs or adjectives. And I'm here with my co-host who actually has had other people's names turned into verbs and adjectives before it even happened to him, Toby Walters.
I have so many things to respond to. Let's just take them in order. So first of all, I mean, it would be fascinating if Toby'd was an actual vernacular verb around here at Church Gear that I didn't know about.
And I'm kind of sad that getting Blaked and getting Franked has happened first. I don't know how you didn't beat us to the punch.
So very few people would know this, but MXU actually had an emoji for getting Blaked.
In their Slack channel.
Yep. And so did you know specifically what it meant? I feel like they were always pretty elusive about what it meant, but it wasn't very nice.
I'm sure it was about me being annoying because I'm good at following up, which is a synonym for annoying.
Yeah, I think it might have been, inspired by the fact that you got frustrated when somebody didn't respond to you in 12 seconds.
I am an unreasonable person on communication expectations.
I was just roasting some of our best friends in the church production space today that they never respond to me. And, there is a balance. It's a tricky balance.
And Toby and I would never look inward and ask, why would someone not want to reply to us? We'll just roast them for not.
And I love how all our listeners are like, I feel like you're giving us all unsolicited advice right now. But yeah, it's not unsolicited when I'm your boss, Blake.
Well, actually, you're not my boss anymore. Yep, you gotta be my boss. Technically, you're my boss's boss and you're my boss's boss's boss.
Yeah.
That is true in a literal sense.
Yeah.
Also, we've never told the audience getting franked is when, do you know what this means, Toby?
I don't know that I do.
Frank runs the operation. And
shoot it.
Frank, don't listen to the podcast. If someone has gone in operations for 30 minutes, traditionally you would think they were taking a poo. But instead...
For 30 minutes?
Oh, at least.
All right.
On company time, probably
Great,
45.
Perfect.
A lot of times, though, people will go, oh, I just got franked. You'll run into our head of operations, and then you'll just be talking for 30 minutes. And so when someone disappears, it's probably because they got franked.
Yeah, they got the details.
Or they took a poo.
Yeah. Well, getting back to the original prompt of unsolicited feedback, I know as a former sound guy, and I stress former because we're at almost 30 years at this point.
Don't listen to any of Toby's advice. Only listen to the guest.
But some things never changed. Unsolicited feedback when you're the audio guy is just second nature. People walk up and they just want to tell you what they think. And it's never nice things. It's never... And now I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but because I've learned this, being the audio guy, I only give positive reinforcement to audio guys at church anymore. If I don't have something nice to say, I won't say it to them. But if I have something nice to say, I'll be like, I need to go ahead and say that to them. But anyways, yes, that was a regular occurrence when you're running sound. And I remember specifically, I was doing this one event and, I was feeling it. I was like, this mix sounds great. I'm really excited about it. And some guy comes up to me and says, the bass is killing your mix. And I'm just like, why, dude? Why? You ruined my day.
Was he right?
Not according to me, because I thought it sounded great.
Just shoot him. In the foot.
I was living in California, so I didn't have that option now that I do in Tennessee.
Yeah, in Tennessee, you get shot for that on Sunday morning.
So, Blake, do you have something in your life that you get a lot of unsolicited feedback for?
Oh,
I know you like
being
to
funny?
Mix drinks.
Are you
Toby, slightly, but really.
Toby, I work in marketing. Every person thinks they're a marketing person. I don't give people's opinions to the operations guy on how to do their hallways or the finance guy on how to do their spreadsheets.
Hallways.
Like how they cluster, keep stuff, fire hazards. But, oh yes, every person thinks that they're a marketing person.
Yeah. Don't you just love having a job that you can't necessarily measure whether it's right or wrong?
Oh, we'll talk offline. I've got a lot of ways that I measure. Lots of ways. Big old tape measure. I use it all the time.
Yeah. And what are the measuring markers on a marketing measuring tape?
The measuring markers on a marketing measuring tape.
That's pretty good.
Manifest their movement mostly from the markers of revenue.
You couldn't find a M word for revenue? How about money?
See, I never have any money, so I never think to use that word. You got lunch money. What did we just? I've got lint money. I got
lint
that. You know, when you turn your pockets out and there's just lint in there.
I don't know, buddy. It looks like you're eating lunch to me.
Well, let's throw it over to a person who's actually never ate lunch a day in his life, because that's why he's the best looking dude in church production. Johnny from Worship Sound Guy is with us today. Johnny, can you confirm you have never eaten lunch once and you're one of the Pharisees that fast in a very haughty manner for praise?
Wow.
Wow. What an intro. I'm going to rebuke that in the name of Jesus. I ate lunch so fervently. I'm zealous for lunch. There's actually like a sushi place like right by our church where like I'll go like every Sunday after church, and it's my favorite. I'll stuff myself every time.
And Johnny is coming into some rare air in the church production world that we have. We are lobbying to get Todd Elliott to change his name to Mr. Philo, and for Stephen Aruda to become Mike Reynolds. And now we're lobbying for you to officially change your last name to From Worship Sound Guy.
Yeah, I'll do it. If this becomes the most popular episode, I will legally change my last name from Ragin to Worship Sound Guy.
Holy challenge laid
you
down.
heard it here. It's
Here's
on record.
Marketing
Let's do it.
Measurement.
Everyone, let's make that happen. And also, our best podcast social clip of all time is from your last episode. So I'm going to go ahead, retroactively count that. You're legally changing your name now to Johnny from Worship Sound Guy.
Yeah.
It's already in. Okay, I'll submit the request.
If nobody's seen the clip of a teenage boy like being disintegrated by a confetti cannon, it's just an amazing visual. And yeah, it's our best
podcast social clip.
Well, any.
Is
ever.
It? No, I think we had another one get 8 million. That was 6.
So Blake, since we're talking marketing measurements, what literal money, how many dollars do you think you'd have to spend to get this episode out, to get it boosted up to be our number 1 episode? So we get Johnny to legally change his last name.
All I got to do is sell your car, Toby. I actually already had it on Facebook Marketplace. And I was looking for a way to tell you.
That's great. On the podcast. Perfect.
Yep. And that will help us cruise over to a victory.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, let's drive over to the segment of 5 Truths and a Lie, which has been brought back by popular demand.
Whose demand?
Me, because I missed it. And Johnny happened to do it. And I said, let's do it.
I love it. We kind of scrapped this because we felt like it had run its course. But then Johnny, who runs courses, is like, nope, bringing it back.
I cannot tell you how difficult it was coming up with this many things about myself.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good thing, Johnny. That means you're not an egotistical maniac like my co-host and myself, because you actually struggled to come up with it. But let's get into it. Number 1. Oh, I guess if you haven't heard this segment, if you're new, Johnny's given us 5 truths, 1 lie, because he's only a 1/6 liar. And we're going to try to guess what that lie is. And this will give you a chance to get to know him a little bit, even though you probably already do. Number 1. I've been part of a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that's been running for over 4 years.
Nerd.
Number 2, I've never been to Disney World or Disneyland. Counter not nerd now. Number 3, I've mixed a worship set while fighting off allergies so bad I couldn't hear out of one ear.
Wow.
Number 4, I've previously worked as a barista.
That's every production guy.
Number 5, I played trombone throughout middle school and high school.
Back on the nerd train.
Johnny looks more like a trumpet guy. Number 6, I've been on staff at my home church for 15 years.
So since he was 5?
Well, see, it's the facial hair, though. I would like to believe that man is at least in his 20s with the facial hair.
Who knows, man?
All right, Blake, who gets to guess first this time?
They say age before beauty, so...
So I have both. So do you want to go first?
I guess it depends.
I'm going to say that he has never worked as a barista, that he's trying to trick us because, like I falsely assumed, everybody in production has worked as a barista at one point.
I'm going to say it's the lie is the trombone, because really, I just think he's a trumpet guy.
Okay, let's find out.
All right, guys, I'm so excited. You're both wrong. You guys guessed it last time when I think I did like no broken bones or something. But yeah, those are both incorrect. So yeah, I actually did do trombone all through middle school and high school. I did briefly work as a barista, just like everyone in production. That is confirmed. Every single person has. The lie, do you just want me to tell you, or do you want to guess again? How does this work?
No, you tell us now.
Okay, I'm going to tell you. All right, so it was actually not that I've had the one clogged ear due to allergies. The truth, I know. The truth, though, is that I had both ears clogged.
Okay, so good. We can still talk about this story.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So let's harp on the fact that you're a pretty big nerd right now. And what does a 4-year Dungeons and Dragons campaign look like? Like, have you been playing the same game like Monopoly?
Yeah, it's a little more in depth than Monopoly, but for any of you guys who don't know, Dungeons and Dragons is kind of a collaborative, like storytelling experience kind of game. It's super fun. It's basically hanging out with a group of friends, and my wife plays as well. We're both super nerds like that. But yeah, it's a lot of just hanging out with friends and collaborating, storytelling together. So yeah, super fun.
Much like this podcast, Blake.
Yeah, it's exactly like a podcast.
And when we're done, you go back to my dungeon.
Yes, but he said with his friends, I'm here with my enslavers, so I don't know.
Or your work wife?
My work wife, my uncle cousin. Also noticed he said he soft flexed it there with his wife. He's wanting to let us know, hey, look, guys, I am married.
Yeah.
All right?
I'm not that nerdy, guys.
I know.
Okay, Johnny, tell us how you did the mix with both of your ears clogged. I was going to guess it was just your bass ear that was clogged. That must have been what happened to Toby in his intro story. But you had both ears clogged.
I did, yeah. So I suffer from really bad allergies here in Georgia. In like the springtime, it gets awful. We get like the pollen that just goes everywhere. And so yeah, I woke up one Sunday morning, it's like 5 a.m. and realized like I just like cannot hear out of either ear. And just like, I don't know if it was like wax buildup or like just, I don't know, all the gunk that builds up in there. But it was so horrible. And I didn't have like anybody on call who could take over for me. This is like probably, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And so I just had to go in and like do my best based on like what little I could hear. And then just kind of looking at meters, looking at like, frequency response stuff on like some EQ graphs and stuff like that. And just trying to get through as best I could, kind of just like feeling the mix more than actually hearing it. And it was rough. Never want to do that again.
So this raises an interesting point. Like, is there a deaf audio mixer out there that does it by sight somehow using those tools?
Or you just said feel it. Describe that sensation as well.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've heard stories about like, I forget if it was like Beethoven or Bach who like went deaf later in life and was like still composing music. Yeah. And just kind of like by trying to feel, the vibrations of it. It was a really like surreal experience. I mean, you'd get something similar if you just like plug your ears, but yeah, just like the sensation of knowing that my ears like aren't, they don't have like fingers or earplugs in my ears and yet not being able to hear anything was really, really strange. But so much of your hearing does happen through like bone conduction, like vibrations like through your skull and stuff. So especially a lot of low frequency stuff. So you can still hear some things. It's super skewed and weird sounding. So yeah, it's, get on that Claritin is all I can say.
And I'm guessing that there's a large percentage of our friends in the church production world that are thinking, yeah, where my mix location is on Sunday mornings, it's almost like I'm plugging my ears. So, God help us all. If you're not
could be.
In the middle where you can see the speakers and it's a logical spot, like it can be very tricky. It's almost like your ears are plugged. I remember hearing the story of Calvary Chapel, Costa Mesa, Chuck Smith's like the original one. And they, so I was touring there a year ago or so, and they're showing me the production setup. They took me upstairs to their broadcast suite, and they have like studio glass where they can see the stage while they're mixing broadcasts. And I said, like, that's really cool. You can actually see the live worship band while you're mixing. And they said, yeah, this was where the original sound booth was. And I said, oh, cool. When did they put in the glass? And they're like, they've always had the glass. And I said, well, how did they mix then? And they said, that's what the walkie-talkie was for.
Whoa, that's brutal. I mean, I've mixed, like
walkie-talkie.
No, they were mixing and then radioing down to somebody like on the floor. How's it sound?
Oh my gosh.
Because, that was like back in the 70s and technology was so new in churches that they like people didn't want it to be seen. So they had to hide it behind the glass.
Yeah. I actually have a somewhat similar story, not quite that bad, but way back in like the early days, I was first getting started running sound for like churches and stuff. There's this little tiny ministry called The Warehouse, and it was actually in a warehouse. And so it had like essentially two rooms. Like one was kind of like a like pre-function, like lobby space, and the other was just like literally an open warehouse with a stage in the middle of it. And they didn't have room to put like a mixing console in the actual warehouse section of it. So the mixing console was out in the lobby area. Whoa. And it was connected by this little like set of double doors. So they would literally like, when I would mix there, you'd have to like go in, listen to how things sounded, then like walk back out through the doors back to the mixing board and like make adjustments, then walk back out and just like try it again. It was awful. Absolutely terrible.
Sounds like fun. Blake, you want to get into audio production now?
Yeah, I think what I heard in all of that about your ears being clogged is the next time, Toby, you have like, hey, you remember that big idea I said? I'd be like, sorry, my ears are both clogged. I can't mix. What?
Johnny, is your wife like production minded at all?
She is. Yeah, she's actually also on staff at my home church at one of our other campuses. So she does like production as well as women's discipleship. So yeah, she's very good at what she does.
Got it. I was thinking like if I happened to have been in your spot, I would have asked my wife to come stand next to me and give me feedback. She'd be the first one to say like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm like, no, you know what sounds good and what doesn't because
you can at least hear.
Yeah. And you've been with me for 25 years and we've had all these conversations. It's like I've Mr. Miyagi'd her and she didn't know it. And all of a sudden she's like, wow.
Johnny, I'm sorry. I didn't send you the waiver to sign, but this is actually the episode of The Truman Show where we let Toby know that he's been a Make-A-Wish kid this whole time. And that Shelly's
you're
never
finally
been
going
married.
to tell him?
She's never been married
I didn't think you were going to tell him. That's super awkward.
I'd be like, whatever, man. I've gotten to be married to you my whole life. I'm good.
Oh, man.
Just going to roll with it.
All right. Do we have to get into the questions now, Blake?
Johnny, I would like to know about your whole life. So,
oh, man.
Yeah.
My whole life.
Actually, I wouldn't because we've gotten very specific on we don't ask for their whole life. So, Toby, I'm going to throw it over to you. I think you've done a good job of asking these questions.
Johnny, I am constantly disgusted with how handsome and well-spoken you are. So I'd like to, hear a little bit of the story of your background of what led you to become one of America's leading voices today.
That is a vast overstatement. Let's get that out of the way first. Both the handsome, well-spoken, and the leading voice part.
I don't know. You have a wife.
Renounce all of that. This is true. That's true. I did win on that one for sure.
We're speaking life into you, man.
I know.
You're a well-spoken tech guy. We love you.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. But yeah, so I guess, like I said, I've been on staff in my home church here in Milton, Georgia for about 15 years now. And early on in that, I really like we've already established, I'm super nerdy about stuff. And so I'll take a deep dive on almost any subject and just try to learn like everything I can about it. Just go like as deep as I possibly can into it. And so when I got on staff at this church, I started doing that with sound. That was kind of my primary focus. I'd been to school for audio engineering. I was like, cool, I'm going to do this sound thing. And I got to learn everything that I possibly can about it. And what I realized over the span of probably a few years is that at the time, there were not a lot of good resources out there to learn about, especially live sound. There's a lot of stuff about studio sound, a lot of good forums and stuff online, a lot of good blogs, that kind of thing. This is kind of also the early days of like studio YouTube stuff was starting to come out. But there was nothing for live sound. And I'm over there reading like the Yamaha like recording like live sound handbook thing that they put out a while ago. It's like 20 years old now. Like just trying to like get some basic understanding of like how these systems work and like trying to keep up with technology, flipping through the Sweetwater catalog, just like trying to learn about new stuff. And I realized that like if I was having that problem, probably a lot of people were having that problem. And I think one of the big things that like I've always been passionate about is trying to combat isolation in the tech space. I think because, there's usually only one person running sound on a given Sunday, engineers often don't cross paths with each other, especially in the church world. And I think that can lead to a lot of isolation and just honestly a lot of like loneliness and, just kind of struggling to like find connection, find other people who are interested in the same things that you're in. And I think part of what inspired me to like start Worship Sound Guy was I just wanted to like build that connection just for myself. I was like, I need to get around other people who are interested in the same stuff that I'm interested in and to learn from them, to grow with them, hopefully to help them in some way if I can. And so, yeah, I started as a Twitter account back in, the pre-X days.
Twitter? What's that?
Dude, I know. Yeah, was that some little bird or something? I don't know.
He operated it through his VCR machine.
That's right, on a scanner and an overhead projector. But yeah, so we started as a Twitter account and quickly found out that there are a ton of people out there who were in the exact same position that I was in, where on staff at a church, they're volunteering, maybe they're contracting, and just like needing to connect with other church tech guys. And so that really was kind of the catalyst for everything that came after.
So many follow-ups, Blake. I'm just fascinated by his story. I love how he said, he jumped into this job and like he already had some understanding, but he's just wants to learn everything about what he's doing. And I'm just thinking like, that's the opposite of you. Like you didn't know anything about marketing, but you jumped in and you're like, I know everything about marketing. And yeah, you guys just have a different approach to life.
Yeah, me and Johnny are a great tag team. That's why we're actually launching Marketing Worshiping Sound Guy.
Let's go.
February 2026.
Oh, man. Well, I will say this too, like just to that point though, of like not knowing what you don't know, that, it's like that Dunning-Kruger effect thing where it's like you go into it and like you think you know everything. You're like, oh yeah, this is easy. I can totally do this. Like it's whatever. And then, usually shortly thereafter, especially in a technical field, you realize pretty quick, like, oh wow, there's so much stuff that I didn't even realize I didn't know. And I think that's where you kind of enter that like pit of despair where you just like, you need people around you. Like at first you're so enthusiastic and then you kind of get that enthusiasm crushed out of you by like the weight of just all the stuff that you realize you don't understand.
Yeah.
How do we handle that? Because, all right, we've stumbled into a topic, but as you just described, I bet that happens to a lot of tech people. I can tell you recently, getting ready for Marketing Church Gear next year, I stumbled into a whole new thing I'd never used. And it started with me being like, oh, this is so fun. This is going to be amazing. And then I kept going deeper and I was like, this is so much stuff I don't know. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Like any encouragement to techs out there that are in that moment and they just, they need that pat on the back that like, it's all right. Even though you found out you don't know a lot of this stuff.
Yeah. I think one of the big things for me is not losing sight of what drew you to this field in the first place. Like there's something that got you interested in running sound or, it could be anything, running lights, producing, running tech in general, whatever it is. There's something there that like captivated you initially. And I think like for me, I remember like very specifically, I went to go see the band Muse here in Atlanta. Amen. And they're playing at the Tabernacle. Yeah, incredible band, had incredible sound. And I was like, like the feeling, the energy of that mix was like, I want to be able to do this and like make sound like this and, help to like move people like this and like, kind of be a conduit for a great sounding band or in this case, a worship experience. And so for me, like I always kind of come back to that memory, like it's kind of like a core memory for me. And it's sort of like what got me into live sound in the first place. So I think just like not losing sight of that. It could be, a million different things for a million different people, but there's something that got you into it in the first place. Like when you're feeling, dejected or isolated or just overwhelmed by the amount of stuff that you feel like you need to do for, your church, or you feel like your mix is crappy. Like everybody has those Sundays, but I think it's like going back to like, okay, what was that thing that like gave me that inspiration that gave me that joy in the first place that made me want to get into this.
Yeah. I like that. What was your initial inspiration and joy to get into marketing, Blake? Can you even remember?
Man, I'm really on the spot. Yeah. I don't know.
That's
it's just, fun. I'm a talker. It's fun to talk.
Yeah. Communication, right?
Johnny, I'm going to set you up for something to get you into a lot of hot water. So you're welcome.
All right, let's do it.
What I just heard is I'm going to lay a trap for you.
No problem.
I'm walking gingerly around the trap.
Worship sound guy, and we'll talk more about this. But, for uneducated
swine like Toby.
Goober, like confounded goober.
Say that again.
Kafoober.
Toby's like a confoober.
It's like the sound at my church isn't great. Worship sound guy can help make it better. So what is, if you can point to one thing or a few things, what is ruining the mix at most churches?
Oh man. I think there are honestly a lot of different things. And I think that's what makes it so hard sometimes for churches or, church sound techs to pin down what exactly the first thing is to work on. So for me, it's a little more of like a holistic approach of like, what are kind of all the factors, like kind of starting at the stage, like, are the source tones good? Like, are your drums tuned? Like, do your vocalists have the right mic capsules for, their voices, that kind of thing. Just making sure that like what's coming down the line into the console is at a good starting point. That's a huge one, honestly. A lot of people just try to like, quote unquote, fix it in the mix, and that rarely works. Like you can do a lot for sure, but there's some stuff where it's like, man, you're fighting an uphill battle because like your source tones just coming down the line don't sound that good. And then it's like from there, I think it's really like kind of just sort of like diagnosing what doesn't sound right and like sort of tracing it back. It's like, just kind of classic like troubleshooting technique of like, you hear something's wrong. Okay, now trace it back through the signal path. Like, okay, is it gain structure? Is it EQ? Is it, being over compressed or something? Is it way too much reverb on like where in the signal chain is it breaking down? And then just kind of like trying to wrap your brain around the steps that are needed to make that fix and to get it sounding the way you want it to.
Do you think it's easier to help people with some experience improve their mix, or easier just to start from scratch? Like if you could get Blake behind the board who knows absolutely nothing, you're like, great, let's start with the basics.
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say, I'll tell you the way that I teach people like just at my home church. And that is like, I've developed a really, really solid template that we load up every single week. We're mixing on a Digicode 225. And so we just recall a template and we start from there. So when I'm training somebody new who has no experience, I start them on the template. And the very first thing we talk about like at the console, we'll get on stage, like talk about, hey, this is where the sound comes from. These are the microphones. This is how it, gets to the console. But when we're actually talking about mixing, the very first thing that I like to teach is balance. And so just, does this thing need to be louder or softer? And, why would we maybe want it to be that way? Like, how do we balance things and keep it all in perspective? So in that sense, yeah, I don't think it's too hard if you have a good baseline, like starting point template to mix from. I think anybody can do it. I think Blake could do a great job at it.
Look at you, Blake. Such confidence.
Look at him.
I think that speaks more to Johnny's high level skill that he feels confident he could teach me that. But hey, man, I appreciate that.
Blake, I feel like there's so much good correlation. You love to mix drinks. It's one of your passions.
Yeah.
I mean, you call yourself a mixologist.
Whoa. To get nerdy with you, we no longer say that word.
Okay.
Because that now turns into someone that so many people like me have done that and they're pretentious and dumb. So I'm just a cocktail enthusiast.
Blake, you're pretentious and dumb. Don't sell yourself short, buddy.
Hey, I've tried aspirationally would like to be less.
So Blake, give us some, take the analogy over to mixing drinks and like, what are some of the most common mistakes that people make when mixing drinks?
They use bad ice. I have a derogatory word that I can't say on this podcast for it, but if you pull your ice right out of your ice machine, hold it up to light. See how cloudy it is? Yeah, that's really impure. You have to directionally freeze your ice with this little thing off Amazon that you can get, and it's completely clear. And there's a famous quote that if I had to pick a good spirit or good ice, I'd pick a bad spirit and good ice, because that goes into everything. It makes your whole mix better on a drink. And it sounds like that's the balance Johnny's talking about, is the balance makes the whole balance better.
Yeah, let's play this analogy, Johnny. He's saying he'd rather have great ice than great spirits. Equate that now to audio. Are you saying like, I'd rather have a great source than a great PA?
Yeah. I'll say that's literally the first thing that popped in my mind. So I would take a great source and like, crappy mixing console, like whatever. I do like to, I would say if there's going to be a link in the chain that's not as strong, I actually want it to be the console. I take like a good PA and good source tones. And if you've got that, you can make any mixer do the job for you. And honestly, even like, not even like, I'm not talking like a super expensive PA or anything. I'm talking like one that's well tuned, that like is appropriate for the room, like sounds good in the space that you're in.
Yeah.
How do we get to Johnny's church and do that video?
We just get in a car and drive down there.
Bring all of our consoles down to like, let's get a bad one and let's just keep.
We don't have bad consoles here at Church Gear, Blake.
No, I'm talking about the ones that go to the Ty Fury bend. Like, let's bring that one and
the
see.
recycle boards.
Yep.
There you go.
Let's do it. I'm in.
Blake, what's another mistake that people make when mixing drinks? They do too much of stuff.
There's these little things called bitters. And I'm talking, guys, this sounds real dramatic. You want to drop. If you do just a heavy pour of that thing that was about to bring you all this flair and personality, suddenly it makes the whole thing, taste dramatic and disgusting. A food analogy would be when you put a little bit of salt on your potatoes instead of putting like everyone's had their salt top come off before, and then you're like, well, these potatoes are ruined.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the thing that people use too much of in mixing?
Yeah. I got two answers for this one. I would say the first one that pops in my mind was compression. I think people get way too hung up on like the magic of compression. But like for anyone who doesn't know, like compression, literally the only thing it's doing is just turning audio down. And there's some controls on it that say how quickly to do that, how quickly to turn it back up again. But at the core of it, it's only just like turning down stuff that's too loud and then turning stuff back up when it's quiet. And I think people like kind of imbue the compressor with like just these magical properties. Like, man, if I just like, have that Wave CLA 76, I can just like slam my vocal and it'll sound awesome. And that just is not true. Like you just end up with an overcompressed, squashed vocal that doesn't sound good. Similarly, I would say reverb, like especially in the church world, like, man, we love like big reverbed out snare vocals, all that kind of stuff. And then people go overboard with it and they end up with just like super washy, like incoherent, muddy, unclear mixes with like no stereo feel, just mud.
Yeah. Love it. All right.
You love the mud, Toby?
No, I love
He loves mud.
response and
There we
his
go.
thoughts on everything. You didn't quite fall into my trap, so we're going to try it again. Okay.
All right, go for it. I'll dodge it again.
Fall right into it. What mistakes are you seeing integrators making when installing PAs and systems?
Oh, okay. So yeah, if we're talking specifically about integrators, I'll say this first. Like there are a bunch of really, really great integrators out there.
Tell us some bad ones.
Name them specifically.
I don't know the bad ones. Bad ones are not ones that I deal with. But I'll say the biggest thing, one thing that I have noticed kind of unfortunately becoming a little more prevalent is kind of just overselling. So, just like selling more PA than what is actually needed. And I think that comes down to like, people always want more PA, like that seems fun, but there's a certain point where you're really getting like a diminishing return on investment, or even something like doesn't work as well for the room as like the right sized system would. So I think like not only you're wasting money, you're potentially getting yourself in a situation where the PA isn't as controllable as you'd like it to be because it's so overpowered for the room. Yeah. So I think it's kind of one extreme or the other. It's like, we can fill this whole 1,000-seat auditorium with 4 boxes. Like, no, you can't. Or it's cool. Yeah. Like you want 200 people. Like, yeah, that's going to be, probably, this huge L acoustics rig that, could fill a stadium. And, it's just like getting the right people who are going to get you the right system for what you actually need.
Yeah.
Did I dodge the trap?
No, you just wisely sidestepped it. And
There you go.
Again, I'm constantly frustrated with how handsome and well-spoken you are.
Is this whole podcast a trap? Like Toby brings on like people that he thinks are smarter and prettier than him, and he just tries to shove them in a hole the whole podcast into his questions.
Just trying to step up on their shoulders. I like it. I mean, there's so many specific ways. One that I'll bring up now is like, let's take a drum set, for example. And just like we talked about, the source on stage is so important that no PA on the planet is going to make a drum set with old out of tune heads sound awesome. It just doesn't work that way.
Just fix it in post.
Yeah. So I had a drummer, an amazing drummer one time when I was at a church in Texas, and we didn't have much budget for drums. And he's like, dude, it's the snare and the cymbals. He's like, I can make any kick and toms sound great. And I'm sure some people will be like, that's heresy. But if you're thinking about a drum set, you're looking like Franklin drums are amazing, but they're also like $3,000 to $5,000 for the toms and the kick. Do you need to spend $3,000 to $5,000 when you could spend $300 to $500 on a used set of kick and toms and then focus on your snare and cymbals? Like that's one way to save a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, for sure. That's actually a really good point. So I'll say this, just like kind of shameless plug for the drums that I use in my home church. It's actually a Mapex Armory kit. Yeah. And you're like, what is that even? It's not a super popular line or anything. You don't see Mapex come up a ton in the church world, especially. It's all like Ludwig, Franklin, that kind of thing that are much more expensive. But this is I think it's sub $1,000 kit for kick and 3 toms. It's a model with like 2 floor toms, which I really, really like. And they sound incredible. Like they've got something going on. This is getting really nerdy, but with like the bearing edges on those drums that sound so good. Like they're so musical. They're so easy to tune. we also have a CNC kit, which is great, but I find the CNC kit so much harder to tune than the Mapex kit. It's kind of ridiculous. So yeah, I'm like, I would get something like that Mapex Armory kit for my kick and toms. And it's like, yeah, you can find such good kits at, not crazy price points. And yeah, then you've got enough to go, get some good heartbeat cymbals, get a Black Beauty for your snare. Like, just spend your money that way.
Yeah.
And you just be smart about the rest of it.
Yeah. Do you have, it doesn't even have to be a hot take. If it is, bonus points, but like an opinion on integrators selling churches on immersive systems versus just standard stereo setups?
Do you want this to be like a whole other podcast? Because I think it could be.
I will pull out the calendar right now.
Let's dip our toes in right now, and then we'll.
Yeah, we should have like an immersive roundtable and kind of discuss the pros and cons of it. I mean, I think I would say I'm not pro or anti immersive. I'm Switzerland on this. I'm pretty neutral. I think it's very situational, let's say. I think there are certain rooms where it makes all the sense in the world to go immersive. Yeah, the D&B soundscape is incredible. If you've heard that, L Acoustics has a good solution as well. But yeah, there are certain rooms with like certain layouts where it's going to be tough to cover it with a traditional like left-right hang for a PA. And you get into weird, like tons of outfills or like something like that to try to like make it as wide as it needs to be or like get the coverage that you need. And in those cases, yeah, absolutely like immersive, like just having, a few hangs across the front, like in a soundscape rig, that's going to be awesome. And arguably, not even arguably, probably more cost effective than like a gigantic PA that's, enough left and right to cover like a large space like that. So I think in those certain situations, it can really, really make sense. Then, like we talked about, there are other situations where, maybe an integrator is trying to oversell you on the benefits of immersive or what it can do, or like what it actually is. I think that's really, really important to understand, like the goals of immersive sound and immersive PAs. Like it's not the same as like a surround sound system in a theater. Like you're not trying to like whoosh stuff across the audience or something like that. Like it's all about providing consistent, even coverage and like maintaining phase coherency, that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that's what it can do really, really well. So I would say, yes, and there are places, there are times that it makes a lot of sense. And there are other times where a stereo system is going to be absolutely the right move for that. It's like the same thing with like line array versus point source, right? It's like everybody's like, oh my gosh, I got to have line arrays. Like they sound so much better. And in some rooms, yes, that's absolutely true. And in other rooms, like, nope, a point source system is the right move for that room.
Mm-hmm. All right. He, again, wisely sidestepped. I've totally laid a trap for him on this next one, Blake. Do you have confidence?
All right, let's do it.
Here's the problem. Johnny keeps showing great discernment.
I know.
Hot takes are fun for podcasts, and I would like 5 of them. The true answer, the wisdom here, I'm going to give a tech takeaway early, is that few things are always yes and always no.
Yep.
It's just having the discernment of when to do yes or no. But don't listen to that, Johnny. Hit him, Toby.
All right, I'll do a real hot take answer to this one, I promise, whatever it is.
All right, here's your trap.
Republicans or Democrats?
Oh, man.
Calvinism or Arminianism?
Or the Green Party.
Whoa.
Okay.
Whew.
Remote mixing. Go.
Uh-oh. I will say there's one remote mixing system that I think is really cool. And it's the one, it's actually called Remote Mix. It's a like kind of a sub company of Boxcast, and they basically allow you to like take over mixer control remotely, which is very cool. It means you can like go to another room and have complete control over your mixer, like in an isolated environment, or like, it doesn't even have to be another room. It could be like, from your bedroom at home. That kind of technology, like remote controlling, being able to remotely hear stuff. Like they do like audio and video monitoring in real time, along with real time control of the mixing console. I think that kind of thing is so cool. I'm really excited about it. What I'm not a fan of, and maybe this is a hot take, are the services that say like, we'll mix your stream, from home remotely for, $300 a Sunday or like whatever it is. I think there might be a few companies who are doing that well, but I'm seeing a lot of companies, I'm hearing a lot of feedback from people who are saying that they're not having good experiences with a lot of those companies. And like I said, I think actually might have been Lee Fields posted this the other day that there was an ad that I think he got that was basically saying don't trust your live stream to your volunteers. Let us do it. And I'm like, that's awful. That's a horrible take. To be don't trust your volunteers. Instead of empowering volunteers, just be hey, instead of, actually doing the work and empowering your volunteers to have a good live stream mix, just let us, just pay us to do it. That sucks. That's my hot take. That sucks.
I do believe that was MXU. We'll give him credit for sharing that. Okay, I'm going to make the trap even wider so you just fall right in.
All right.
Remote
mixing
I'm jumping.
for
front of house.
Okay. I think we're going to see this get more and more prevalent. I think it's already coming into the touring world some. I forget what artist it was, but there was somebody who actually might have been front of house for Benson Boone was doing something like this, where he was actually backstage, in an arena in a little room by himself with a full Digico mixing console and studio monitors, mixing the show completely off stage. And I'm that's really interesting. And so I think the next logical iteration of that is we'll start to see, okay, it's not just in a separate room, it's in a separate, environment completely. So I think, I think there are pros and cons to that. I think it opens up some interesting possibilities as far as bringing someone in remotely to, mix a service for you, something like that. I think that could be really cool. I think it'd be very cool for potentially training people. I think for us at Worship Sound Guy, it would be so cool to be able to kind of, dial into someone else's mixing setup and be able to remotely, adjust things for them or help them understand their equipment better. But on the other hand, I think there's something really special about being in the room, in front of the PA, getting to hear it, feeling the crowd interaction, feeling especially for churches, the most the spirit is moving. And, it's that's hard to, to capture that if you're not there in the room where it's happening. And so I think for me, I'm man, I don't think I would mix, I think I would mix worse if I wasn't in the room, during those moments of worship in particular.
Yeah. I visited a church just a few weeks ago, and granted, this is a real thing. We live in Nashville and you're in Atlanta. There are a lot of professionals in these large cities, but there are a lot of churches that are not in the large mega cities with a lot of professionals.
Yeah.
So they had been struggling with finding qualified guys to run front of house, even hiring contractors. And so they took the leap to farm it out. And so they now have a front of house guy who's in a foreign country who mixes their Sunday services remotely. There is no front of house person on site running their Sunday morning services. And they said it's been going well for them.
Man,
I feel
that's
all of us
wild.
Are gonna sit here and say that's crazy. But
Yeah. I mean, I have heard of some stuff like that, and it's super interesting. Like I said, I'm never one to be boo technology. There's no halting, the advance of technology like that's going to happen. It's all just a matter of how we want to use it. If it works for, their particular situation, if it does, that's awesome. Gosh, yeah, I feel you'd have to really be strategic about how you plan your services and your transitions and that kind of thing to make that work. Where even quote unquote real time is there's a little bit of delay that's going to happen. And so I'm just imagining, trying to catch somebody's coming up on stage, unexpectedly or something making sure a speaking mic is up or whatever. There's going to be some delay on that. So I'd be really curious to learn more about exactly how they're doing that. And, if they've had to modify kind of their programming or their service structure or anything like that to kind of adapt to that.
Blake, I'm going to remote myself out. So I'm going to start doing the podcast from sunny places because there's no sunshine in Nashville right now. And it's sucking the soul out of my body.
Did I just hear, Toby, that there's budget to fly us both to a sunny place?
No, I didn't say both of us.
That's what I heard. I think I'm coming with you.
Yeah. Blake, you are my clouds in the midst of my sunshine, buddy.
So I keep your crops watered and keep you fed?
Provide shade, man.
Do you have any opinions?
Sounds like a good deal.
I know you're not an audio guy, but where does your heart go when it says let's farm this work out to?
Well, Johnny says there's a delay. There's that slight delay, and what I hear in that is more so, when you say that there's a slight delay in the room, being in the room is good. I feel like being in the room is inherently part of being a part of your church, being a part of that experience. And like, I'm not saying the Holy Spirit can't touch you remotely if the room is being moved, but man, that just feels a little odd to disconnect that. And then I would still go back to Johnny's point, or what y'all have talked about this whole time. I would not say yes or no in all cases. I just would definitely use some discernment. I would not immediately farm it out. But also y'all talk about teaching people. And I'm like, that sounds really helpful. If person who lives in the middle of nowhere could have someone remote in and teach them, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I was going to say too. I think, this is something I've spoken on a little bit before, but like, there's nothing that these remote mixing services are doing that is like some special secret magic sauce that you can't do. Yeah. It's like, they're just good at what they do. It's not like they've got like some super special protocol that only they can do to make your mix sound good or, anything like that. It's like, I'm just like, let's just teach more about how to mix. Like that's, obviously a big part of what we're trying to do is like help to educate and empower people. And I'm just like, man, why farm it out when you can just invest in your own people and, spend a little bit of time and effort learning how to do these things yourselves and like start building, okay, we can't, find a qualified professional to contract. I was like, okay, like, raise those people up from in your church, like help to multiply better leaders than like what you have right now, like multiply qualified people who are able to actually do it.
Yeah. And I mean, especially with digital these days, like bring in volunteers on, during the week and just have them practice mixing with tracks. You can recreate your service when it's not your service and just give them lots of reps. And anytime something goes wrong, you just hit the recall button. Like digital has made it amazing for training people on audio. Yeah. And just to clarify, so this was something that MXU reshared from a company. I don't know who the company was that posted it. It doesn't matter. But the message was, don't trust your live stream to your volunteers. Let the pros handle it instead. And MXU, just like we would think, like, what are you saying? Like, our whole job is to raise up disciples in the church, raise up volunteers. And so I know that probably wasn't their intention. They didn't realize what they were saying when they said that, but it just came across really poorly. And MXU was the first one I saw to then call it out.
Yeah. And I'm sure, I don't know who the company was or anything, but I'm sure they were saying that with the best of intentions, like trying to, take a burden off of your volunteer team. Like I get that. But at the same time, it's like, man, I would love to just, see more people empowered, like more people be able to get good at this rather than just, farming it out to somebody else.
Yeah. It's like how Blake, we were going to make, Church Gear is better than Worship Sound Guy as a marketing campaign. But somebody wisely stepped in and said, like, maybe we shouldn't just throw shade on our buddy Johnny from Worship Sound Guy.
Yeah, the only shade I want to throw on him is when we're sitting together at the beach, hopefully after we had a great campaign together, which we will have a new campaign coming out. You can actually find it at worshipsoundguy.com/livestreamliars. Johnny has so graciously put together a list of companies that are good at taking over your live stream and bad.
And also bad integrators. He's going to put them on there. He's going to call out everybody.
All my hot takes.
worshipsoundguy.com/integrate this.
/hot takes. I'm going to make all of these pages and just link them back to Church Gear.
Oh no.
All right, Johnny. So we're going to do lightning round real quick. I want you to give us your favorite or favorites currently and all time. So we're going to have 3 categories. So start with audio consoles. Go.
Oh man. Okay. Favorite currently, Waves LV1. I think they're making incredible strides with that console. I got one of like the first ones when it came out, like kind of the modular system where you had to get like the server and the computer and the like fit controller and a touchscreen and put it all together. And now with the Waves LV1 Classic, I think they've just like taken that to a whole different level, and they sound good. They're so easy to use, super volunteer friendly. Favorite console all time though, I'm going to go with the Avid SC48.
Oh yeah.
It was like one of the first like kind of like larger digital consoles that I ever mixed on. And I mixed on it for, years and years and years, got so fast at it, so comfortable with it. I love just like the flexibility of it. There's too many good ones. I love my Digico 225 as well, but Avid SC48 for the classic one, Waves LV1 Classic for my current favorite.
Blake, can you send a message to AJ real quick? Let him know that Johnny wants to swap his Digico 225 for our SC48. Okay. So, all right, back to it. All right, Johnny. Now PAs, go.
Oh, PA, for me, it's got to be D&B. Like we talked about earlier with going to that Muse show when I was a kid, it was on a D&B PA. And I remember that feeling of just like the impact and punch that system had. And it was Mark Carolyn was mixing. He's incredible. So he would make anything sound good. But this particular PA, I was at the Tabernacle here in Atlanta, just sounded amazing. And I feel like I've been like kind of chasing that like punch and impact ever since. And I consistently get it with D&B. So yeah, that's my all-time favorite.
Okay. And plugin, go.
Plugin. Oh man. I think my Desert Island plugin would probably be something like the Waves F6. It's really versatile. You can make it be a compressor. You make it be an EQ. It's a dynamic EQ. You can just do all kinds of stuff with it. I think it's probably on, 80% of the channels in my mix in some form or fashion.
Okay. Hamburger.
Okay. Whoa, now this, okay, we're getting really tough now. I would say, gosh, probably an in and out like double. I think that's
respect.
That's my vibe. Just kind of that like just classic backyard burger. I love that so much.
Okay. And finally, podcast in the church production space by a company that buys and sells used equipment. Go.
Church gear, of course. Like there's no contest.
See,
gotta be.
Good work, Blake.
All-time favorite.
Just another trap to push Johnny into. Johnny, I'd like to push
I was ready for that one. I jumped over that.
I'd like to push you into a tech takeaway. You've already given
let's
us
do it.
Master story first.
Toby, we're going to talk some inside baseball, but we have another pod in 4 minutes.
Oh, good point.
Hey.
Yeah. Take away that tech. So you want to cue him up then? Or did you?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, wait.
Should we clap?
Our audience needs to understand that sometimes we flub.
Oh, we flub a lot. Yeah. When we get, what was it, Toby? Confounded?
Yeah.
Confounded. I'm going to put that on a t-shirt.
Conflubered.
All right.
Yeah.
Johnny, we are some confounded goobers over here. So if you were going to give a tech takeaway to, help us stop being so conflubered, what would you say to us in a room full of tech directors?
Yeah, for sure. I think, honestly, the most helpful thing that I can say is to go simple. I think a lot of the problems, I'm going to say like a percent, I'd be like 99% of problems. I don't think it's that much, but a lot of problems are created when people try to overcomplicate things that really don't need to be overcomplicated. I saw this meme on Instagram the other day that was like, it was like beginner engineer. And he's like putting a mic on a guitar cab. He's like, I'm going to put a mic on here. I hope it sounds good. And it's like intermediate engineer. All right, I've got 5 different mics, all arranged at concentric 45-degree angles. I'm going to phase align them and, do like blah, 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 all this crazy stuff. And then the expert engineer, I'm going to put one mic on this and hope that it sounds good. It's like, it kind of comes full circle all the way back. And I think that's like, it's so true. Like the more that I do this, the more I realize like, gosh, yeah, simpler almost always wins. One of my favorite things is just like, I'll deactivate all the processing on a channel and just kind of like listen to it and see like, what does it actually sound like? Just, the source coming through the microphone, going through the PA, nothing coloring it or anything like that. And just trying to hear like what's like the essence of the sound that I'm working with, and then what do I actually need to do to make that better or make it sound the way that I want it to. And most of the time, what I land on as I kind of approach it fresh ends up being more simple than what I had on originally. So I think that's like really like the big thing that I'm preaching right now is like do things that make sense and let them be simple.
Yeah. That's one of my favorites, honestly, as far as a tech takeaway. It's so helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And one of my favorites is every time I get to wrap this podcast, because I don't have to sit next to Toby anymore. So
you just said we have another one in 4 minutes. So
you literally have to sit next to him for another hour.
I have been inspired by y'all. I'm remoting into that podcast. I'm going to be on the screen as well.
I've seen how fast you run, Blake. Like I'm going to have to give you a month to remotely get anywhere.
That's true. Johnny, if we were going to plug something from Worship Sound Guy, where should we point them?
Yeah, for sure. Go over to worshipsoundguy.com. If you are interested in getting great sound for your church, like we've got resources to help you do that. We actually just launched a brand new platform called Worship Sound Guy Central, and it's where all of our courses, all of our digital console presets, all of our templates, everything lives in one place now, along with a brand new community space we've made. Like I talked about at the beginning, I think one of the biggest things that I want to try to fight against in the church tech world is isolation. And so right now we've got a couple hundred people in this group who are all talking with each other, asking questions. We're doing like some Q&A sessions and live workshops, that kind of thing. Just trying to get people who are passionate about church audio in the same place together. So that's Worship Sound Guy Central, and you can check it out at worshipsoundguy.com.
Love it.
Yeah.
That's great, Johnny. We definitely see a lot of needs for community, so I'm glad you're filling that need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, well, we'll have you on again for some future traps in the future.
Sounds good, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for hanging out with us. We hope to see you back next week for more absurd stories, tech takeaways, and overall buffoonery here at the Church Gear Studios.
Blake, my mind is a blank. So do you have some nonsense that you'd like to wrap this?
Your mind's probably a blank because you're a confluber. So if you have someone in your life that's a confluber and you'd like them to be educated, what should you do, Toby?
If you want to unconflube them, send them this episode, which just has so much wisdom. And especially if you want to sidestep hot button issues going into now this comes after the holidays, but in the spirit of you got to be with family and you're constantly being, conflubed into stepping into traps. Yeah. Just take this wisdom and apply it to your church.
Go forth, conflubers.